Ozonics Killerwinds podcast, back again. Is this episode 110?
109.
109. Episode 109. Here we go. Thought that intro wasn't as long, but here we are. Welcome to the podcast.
It's not even close to being done.
We're not even a third of the way done on the intro. Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. Here we go. Nick Simon, Cole Tanner. Let's rock and roll. Can I do a fade?
Yeah.
That was the wrong one.
No, that was right.
Wow. We are getting super duper technical. For some reason, I imagined when that came on that we were radio hosts in like San Francisco, California.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I was thinking about is what Susie and Sheila just on the other side of the wall were thinking.
I could guarantee you Susie is just rolling her eyes going, oh my gosh, these guys are so dumb. Oh, hey, sometimes you just got to fire it right off, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's funny because I'm not feeling 100% today. I think it's part of it because I haven't had my caffeine this morning.
You need that caffeine.
Propel.
Yeah, that's not enough. That's not enough for the morning.
No. But I was driving in here and I just was like, you know, it wasn't that I didn't want it.
Speak of the devil.
I just didn't want to stop. I looked over at Starbucks and I was like, there's like 9 cars in line. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm like just driving by. So I'm just toughing it out this morning.
Keep on cooking.
Yep, just toughing it.
Yep.
All right, enough sipping the drinks. Let's get going here.
Yep.
What are we talking about today?
Kind of everything under the sun.
A little riff sesh. Hey, exciting new segment.
Yep, exciting new segment. And then
it's funny because I just asked you what we're talking about, and you've said nothing of what we're talking about. You've said nothing specifically. We're just talking about something. We're going to talk about some other stuff. A new segment.
No, we're going to talk about a little Wisconsin turkey season recap. Little velvet update.
That's the new segment part. Little teaser.
Summer plans a little bit, just to try and hone in a couple of these whitetail bucks.
Because I'll tell you what, let's just get into it. Let's get into the turkey update because we're going to jump into the deer part, and then it's going to get way off the rails. Yeah. So let's stay on point, stay on task.
Yep. Okay.
And I have something else, a wild card thing I want to mention that has nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
But just something that we had a really good time doing.
Okay.
That made it sound weird, but I'll explain later.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Stay classy.
Okay, so
what happened in Wisconsin?
What happened was I got my butt kicked.
What happened is we talk about the bell curve of turkey season, meaning over here it's starting, over here it's ending.
Yeah.
We were at the end.
Yeah, way at the end.
Yep. It was, I think your uncle and your cousins got the last of the good part.
Yeah, for sure. Because the week before, they were kind of going crazy. I mean, they had a bunch of really good hunts coming into the Reaper, full tilt. And that just wasn't the same story. And there's nothing wrong with that. It was a big learning experience. That was the first time ever doing some run and gunning and stuff. Got a chance to play on a couple birds, and it just didn't work out. Which that's totally fine. It was still fun. Get out there and
you took the Rossi Tuffy Turkey 410.
Yeah, and that thing is so sweet. That was my first time shooting it.
I wish I would have had a screen recording going when you FaceTime me.
Dude, it's just so cool. I don't know.
Like 7 o'clock on Friday night, all of a sudden I get a FaceTime call from Nick, and I just saw him at work, so I was like, okay. So hey, what's up? Oh my gosh, this gun's awesome.
It's sweet.
I owe you 3 shells, but I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, it is really cool. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
And I think it's a lot of times when I shoot a gun for the first time, I get pretty excited because I'm just not into guns. Never have.
As much of a gun guy.
Yep, I never have. And then, with the red dot, I don't know. It was just really cool. It was really fun to shoot it the 3 times that I did. I wish I could have shot it at a turkey, but definitely got me thinking.
Well, go ahead.
I would like to. I mean, I know that this first week was real frustrating, stuff like that, and the entire time I'm like, man, I didn't feel. I felt like I enjoyed the bow hunting way more, but I don't really want to necessarily give up the gun hunting part of it because I think that there's things that you can do that would be really fun. Switch up the season a little bit.
Well, since you mentioned that, I was gonna. That's part of what I was gonna talk about with your Wisconsin turkey season. I feel like you kind of went from one extreme to the other.
100%.
You went from, and we talked about this, and I guess I should have clarified a bit better, but you went from sitting in a ground blind, waiting, trying to get them to come 100% of the way, right? Where you really get to feel like you're a part of the surroundings.
Yeah, what's going on?
You kind of blend in, you hear everything, you hear every gobble, and you feel like I feel like it's a real, I don't know, like a holistic, like,
oh, for
I don't know
sure
what I'm trying to say. That makes me sound like a hippie, but you know what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying.
It makes you feel like you're connected and you're in with it and you're not an intruder.
No.
It feels like you're invited into it.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of a part of it.
Yeah.
And I love that part of it.
Yeah, you're trying to be one of them, but the way that I was doing it, you was 100% intruding on them, trying to catch them slipping up a little bit. You know,
you were kind of you went from doing that to really running and gunning. And when you're running and gunning, you do feel like you're not just kind of like knocking on the door quietly. You're like throwing the door open. Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, I'm here. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden the woods can feel really quiet. All of a sudden the woods don't feel like you're a part of it. There's like this kind of, it's not in rhythm.
No,
exactly. It feels awkward.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed about running and gunning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What you could have done and what I would suggest to do moving, like say this played out again next year.
Yeah.
Or just any time. And it's especially because what you just described, you're like, yeah, man, I really like bow hunting and I didn't really like how I felt and didn't really enjoy myself as much. Now, if you would have killed, you probably would have been like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But the in-between is honestly the way that I was taught to turkey hunt. When I first started turkey hunting as a kid, we gun hunted, but it was almost like I've done this. I haven't done it lately, but I used to do it a lot. Still hunting for deer.
Yeah.
Still hunting means what I'm referring to is walking through the woods incredibly slow.
Yeah.
I'm talking, you're basically spotting and stalking, but not really stalking anything.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Right.
You walk away from the truck, and when I first started turkey hunting, we would walk 100 yards, and it would take us 20 minutes to go 100 yards.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he'd just be like, let's just stop here. I'm like,
right.
What? Like,
take it slow.
The truck's right there. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just sit down. And we'd sit down, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there going, like, what are we doing? This is boring. Come on. You know, he's like, oh no, let's just wait. We'd sit there, and then all of a sudden 5-10 minutes go by, and gobble. Let's go. No, let's just wait. Let's see what he does. And then all of a sudden he gobble again. Now he moved over here, and you're like, well, he's moving that way. Let's go. No, let's just listen again.
Yeah.
And then he gobble a third time 10 minutes later. Well, now he's over here. Okay. All right. Well, what are we going to do? Oh, let me just call one time.
Yeah.
And he'd yelp once, like soft. I'm like, dude. And then all of a sudden he's gobbling towards us, you know, or you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he'd gobble away, and then he'd let another 10 minutes go by, and then he'd go, you know what? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
He'd stand up and he'd walk 100 more yards and sit back down again. I'm like, geez, oh Pete. And it was hard for me to understand that. Now I look at it, and what he was doing is he was becoming a part of the woods.
Yeah, exactly.
All of a sudden you sit there for a half hour in one spot, and you know every single tree all around you. It's just like you're sitting in a tree stand during the day.
Right.
You can, all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh, the shadow was over there. Now it's over here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh, there's a deer. And you don't even see the deer. You just see like its butt.
Yeah.
You know, like you see its leg, but you've been looking at that tree all day.
Yep.
And now you can become more of a part of it. And so you just kind of still hunt your way through, and you're really connected, and you feel in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you still can't all of a sudden go, okay, now I need to make a quick move, but it's just way more slow and deliberate.
Yeah.
I feel like if you did that, I feel like you would feel more, it would feel a way more of a sense of enjoyment like you did with the bow hunting.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can be uber successful doing that.
Yeah.
It's a slower play.
Yeah.
And that's a great way too, if like, we kind of, and it's kind of funny that I never mentioned, we didn't talk about this before because some of the spots that we hunt are conducive to still hunt like that with a gun.
Yeah.
Incredibly slow, just walking through deliberately, sitting a lot, listening, waiting, trying to see them before they see you.
Right.
That can be really fun turkey hunting.
Yeah, for sure. For
you
sure.
know, where you're walking so slow that if they gobble, you hear it. Your steps aren't muffling anything.
Yeah.
You're walking from one tree to the next, and then you just stand there for a while.
Yeah.
Looking all around, just maybe a really, really quiet yelp here and there. Then just all of a sudden for no reason, just sit down, So I think that if you could maybe try that, I think that would have been really interesting to see how that would have gone.
Yeah, for
now,
sure.
again, the birds were on the done side of everything.
Yeah, they were.
But still.
Yeah, and they were, they roosted in spots that we didn't really expect. You could tell that they were just kind of off their spring pattern a little bit. They just weren't doing what they normally do.
Well, I think what they were doing is what turkeys do the rest of the year, which is nothing consistently. They don't do anything consistently during the spring either.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden when the season's over,
yeah.
The one thing you can count on is you can't count on nothing.
And I think the funny thing too is and now granted a lot of our cameras are dead right now, but weeks leading up to going up there, I mean, you were still seeing a ton of turkeys on camera. Like every morning you'd see them. I can't remember the last time we've had a turkey on camera.
It just disappeared.
They just are done.
Well, they're off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's so fun and frustrating about spring turkey season is you get in this window and it's awesome. And then you can get outside of it pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And when they're in it, it's just they're in their glory and they're strutting and they're gobbling and they just seem so obvious and there they are.
Yeah.
And you're like, look at them out in the field. And then one day you snap the finger.
Yeah.
And they're just gone.
Right. Right.
they're just not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
sure.
wild.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about that earlier, how you're like, yeah, just a week before they were going, then they weren't. It's almost like you think about when you're a kid and you're sledding down a hill. Takes you a while to trudge up to the top, and as you get higher and higher and you get up to the top of the hill, it's going to get funner and funner. You get to the top of the hill and man, you just scream down the hill.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you can scream down the hill, but then you stop pretty fast.
Right.
And that's where you were. Your uncle and your cousins were right towards the bottom of the hill, but they were still screaming.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they hit that flat spot, and it's just
yeah,
and that's it
for sure.
And now you're like, well, now we got to go back up to the top again.
Yeah.
But that's next spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
no
I mean?
doubt.
That's a ways away now.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, dude, here's the thing: you got to spring turkey on a week longer than I did.
Yeah, and it
longer
was
than a lot of people. You know what I mean?
And it's not like I didn't have any opportunities. The one night I got really close. It was the first afternoon. It was rained all day long. There was like two windows where it quit raining. One kind of right around noon. Made a play on a couple of them. I screwed up big time. I made a play on some of them. It didn't work, and when I was walking back, I should have been paying more attention.
Yeah.
There's this point of the woods that kind of comes up to a finger, and I was walking around the outside of it, and I showed the reaper around it just in case there was one standing there. Let the reaper down, take about 2 more steps, and there's 4 redheads. Oh. And so it was just like, if I would have just taken more time. And I think this is just lack of experience too. I don't know.
And that is the biggest drawback about running and gunning.
Yeah,
it's like elk hunting.
Yeah,
every time it doesn't work out, God, if I would have just stopped at that ponderosa, if I would have just stopped at that juniper tree instead of going up and trying to get around that corner, and then all of a sudden there he is.
Yeah,
it's always hindsight 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't focus on that.
No,
because if you focus on that, you drive yourself crazy.
Well, and the thing that kind of made me mad too is there's basically it's a field on top, field on bottom. The first play I made, I took the Ranger up, and then I worked from the top to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was done, I worked to the top, and I was just going to haul it right across the field. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take it slow, walk around the edge, really slow, just in case something pops out.
So you were kind of doing a little bit of it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but then once I got all the way around, didn't see anything. I'm like, it's just nothing up here, and then they're just right there the entire time.
Yeah.
So they went all the way across the field into the neighbors. Then it started raining again. Well, later that night, me and Benny were just driving around, like, not really thinking, we're actually going to hunt. We just kind of wanted to get an idea where they may be roosting. Well, when I was pulling into Benny's driveway, you could see a strutter on the neighbors from the driveway. And I'm like, well, what the heck? And my uncle owns just on the other side. And so we were maybe going to make a play from there. We get up to where we're going to get out, but there was 5 jakes there. And the tom was pretty far down. So we're like, well, if the jakes don't like it, they'll probably spook the tom. If the jakes really like it, I was wanting to shoot a tom. Mm-hmm. It might just not work out. So I ended up just sitting like right out in front of Benny's shop, his dad's shop. And I got to a point where I could see the road. I was probably like 80 yards off the road. And I just started just yelping on a mouth call. And like 10 minutes go by, and all of a sudden here comes a hen. And there was one hen in that group. It was a tom, a hen, and then 5 jakes. I see the hen crossing the road. I'm like, oh man, this actually might work. And I can see her on the road. She comes down into the ditch, and like 2 minutes later, car drives by, lays on the horn, and then that was it. Just nothing else. And Benny's like, yeah, they were strutting all the way over like 300 yards down. So I mean that car totally kind of foobarred that. But and then the next chance I had, it was early in the morning. I didn't sit that morning because they just haven't been roosting on the farm. So I was just kind of trying to find one and then go after it. And where I'm at, it's kind of rolling hills and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're on the western side of Wisconsin, right off the Mississippi. So it's kind of, there's a lot of topography and stuff. I caught myself.
Oh, that's awesome. You know what's interesting is I'm not gonna lie, I've been known to say a swear word here and there, but I can turn it off pretty good. I've never sworn on the podcast. That's your second time.
I didn't swear.
Oh, the word's only 4 letters, and you said 2 of them.
I was gonna say shoot.
Yeah,
but I'm driving by, and all of a sudden there's a strutter up on top of the hill, and I'm like, oh baby, he's all alone.
Here we go.
Let's go. So I stole my uncle's Ranger, ran up around to the top of the hill, and I'm like, I'm not making this mistake again. I held that Reaper the entire time, crawled 75% of the way just to make it as real as possible. I get up to the top where I can finally kind of see over the hump, and there's 5 jakes in the field that I did not see from the road.
Yeah.
And they did not like the Reaper.
Oh, I bet not.
All 5 of them popped their heads up.
Emergency clock, see ya.
Looking, and then they just tore off. I'm like, that tom should still be over this hill. So I just waited, let him get off the field. I start working. I'm nowhere near the top of the hill yet. And then I see that tom going. So,
yeah.
But
and it's tough to reap right at the end of the season like that.
Yeah.
Because, you're going to either find the one dominant bird.
Yeah.
Or you're going to find a bunch of birds that have already gotten their butt kicked that don't want anything to do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, again, it's still fun, and you never know. I mean, you can't shoot them from the couch, and you never know when all of a sudden you just get the right bird at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, like you said, I was excited for you to take the gun. Just some of the specs about that gun. We've talked about that 410 a lot. I haven't really 100% talked through it. So it's a Rossi Tuffy turkey.
Yep.
The funny thing about it is it's actually a super affordable gun.
Really affordable.
You can get it for under a couple $100.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's a youth gun, but it's got an adjustable buttstock, so you can take like a 2.5, 3-inch section off the back of it. Mm-hmm. So adults can shoot it too. Like you would have never known it was a youth gun when you put that bigger extension on.
No.
So it's pretty sweet. I use when you get it, it has like a modified and a full choke. I actually leave the modified in it.
Yep.
So it's not quite as tight. When I'm hunting with the kids, I'm trying to get the birds in close. So it's usually like a 20 and under type deal.
Yep.
So the pattern is totally fine.
Yeah.
But for your hunt, we put in, now again, it was patterned for the modified choke.
Yep.
But we kind of straightened it out where it's like, you know what? I was at the NWTF show a couple years back, and I don't remember the manufacturer of it, but I bought this like extra full 1.5 inch long choke, right?
Sweet looking choke.
That make it looks like it should be on like a machine gun.
Yeah, it's
you know? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like fluted and everything.
Yeah.
So we put this extra full choke on there. I had shot it with the extra full originally too, but it patterned so tight, and I was like, ooh, with the kids. So we patterned it for the modified choke. Well, we put the extra full on there, and I just told you, hey, shoot it a couple times. It was hitting, the bulk of the pattern was hitting just like a skosh to the left.
Yeah, not much.
So it's like just aim on the right side of his head, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I've been shooting Apex ammunition out of it. The Apex, I'm not sure it's Apex ammunition or just Apex turkey shot, but the brand is called Apex.
Yeah.
I really, really like it. I shoot the TSS out of it, which is the tungsten. I shoot the 9-shot. And like you said, TSS has been around for a bit, and it's really taken over. And that's really, really opened the opportunity. Not like guys couldn't use 410s before, but 410s with TSS, it is a lethal combination.
For sure it is.
The idea behind the tungsten is that it's denser than steel or lead, which means the shot is smaller, so you can pack more BBs in one shell compared to steel or lead. So you've got more BBs flying down range. It's denser, which also means it's going to penetrate better. It's holding it better. The whole thing. With TSS on a 410 is a viable option as compared to a 12 gauge on steel or lead or a 20 gauge on steel or lead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's so, again, I know you had kind of talked after when you got back, you're like, man, that 410's awesome. You're like, golly, I wonder about like if I got that TSS on a 20 gauge, because then you get even more BBs. You know, you're not having the recoil of a 12 gauge. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could do it over again, or if I was going to buy a gun for myself. Oh man, I'd still probably buy a 410.
Yeah, it's
because
so
they're just
light,
so
so
light and they're
easy.
so nice.
Yeah.
When we were at the NWTF a couple years ago, there's a lot of manufacturers now that are making 410s. You can get semi-automatic 410s.
Oh yeah.
Golly, and they're so small and light.
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't do more with a 20 gauge.
Yeah.
But seems like a 410 with that TSS is more than enough.
Yeah.
You put an extra full choke in there and you can really reach out.
Oh yeah.
In a whole different way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've really liked it.
Yeah, I've been kind of digging into that TSS versus lead and stuff like that, and I came across this video on TikTok actually, and it was 20 gauge with TSS at 40 yards, shooting at a steel plate, versus a 12 gauge with Longbeard XR, I think it's called, and at 40 yards, the 20 gauge with the TSS. Every single BB blew through the steel, and at 40 yards with the Longbeard XR and a 12 gauge, I don't think a single one penetrated the steel. And I was looking into that more, and the TSS is so much more dense than the lead, and the lead is less dense, that all those BBs will actually pancake, whereas the TSS has the power just to go through anything.
Isn't that something?
It's crazy. Well, and I was kind of familiar with tungsten for ice fishing.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of tungsten jigs because you can get really, really small, tiny jigs for, pan fish and stuff like that, and it falls just like anything else, like a bigger jig.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tungsten is,
it's really changed things.
For sure. For sure.
No, it's really something. So take that out. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the other thing, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I mentioned a minute ago about patterning it, when it really comes down to patterning a gun, like I kept the sheets.
Yeah. It was really interesting to look at that.
Yeah. And it had the yardages of what we were at and what shot it was and what choke we had on. And we didn't take it the next step, even in that situation. The best way to do it, the next step from what we did there was get your gun. Like I said, let's say you were, and it's hard because if you were going to you probably have already had to pot commit to one or the other.
Yeah.
To a 410 or a 20. But let's say you pot committed to the 410 and you were trying to decide on a shot size, and you were also trying to decide on a load or the brand or whatever, and you were shooting a few different manufacturers' brands of turkey shot.
Yeah.
You know, draw a circle on a plate, or, you know, a lot of these targets, they have a circle that's like a, I don't even know, it's probably like a 6 or an 8-inch circle.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. But what you can do is shoot one shot and then have a buddy there, take a marker. And when you go to NWTF, you see guys that'll do this. They not only have the patterns, but they count how many. Oh, yeah, dude. But here's how you count them. Because it's hard because you go, well, did I already count that one? You take a marker and you put a tick mark on the edge of it, on the edge of every shot. Well, then you know you've accounted for it. So you're the one that's going 1, 2 with a marker as you're ticking them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and your buddy's listening and counting too to make sure that you're not getting messed up.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, this one had 110 BBs in an 8-inch circle at 20 yards. Okay, clean the gun or do whatever. Now let's shoot the next one. Count them 1, 2, 3, 4. Holy cow! This one had 110. This one only had 70.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a big difference. Okay, well, now let's try at 40 yards. Let's see what it does. You know what I mean? And see, and then you count how many actually are hitting.
Yeah.
So that's the real true way if you want to really pattern a gun.
Yeah.
Not only that, but then when you start to count how many you're getting in that circle, you know, like initially what you're going to do first is you're just going to shoot. Even if you're aiming at the middle, it hits to the left. Okay, draw your circle around the densest part.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? And then start counting them up.
Right.
Well, then you can start, obviously you can move it so that pattern hits where you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, man, I mean, that TSS is really something.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool stuff.
Yeah. And again, especially for kids, I know like the other thing that you said when you called, he's like, well, geez, that doesn't kick worth nothing. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, it's super.
Oh yeah. It's really light.
Yeah. I just, with how light it was, I kind of thought it was going to hit me.
And it was a single shot. It's a single shot.
Yeah. I kind of figured it would maybe jack you a little bit harder, but I mean, it's like, it's nothing.
Yeah. The recoil is very minimal.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that little Tuffy, that Rossi Tuffy turkey too, is it's actually got shell holders.
Yeah.
Is it 4 shell holders on each side?
Yeah, it's 4
so
on
man,
each
you
side.
could really carry a bunch around if you wanted to. I usually just put 2 on each side, but it's nice if you were in a situation where you had to shoot quick.
Yeah.
When that gun breaks open, it pops the other shell out. It's easy to put one in. It's just right there, grab it.
Yeah.
But that would be the nice thing about like a semi-automatic, to have a couple in.
Yeah.
If you got in a situation where it was an offhanded shot or something, or you had to take a follow-up shot.
Yeah.
Man, it's really, really fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The drawback is it's not cheap.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, the loads, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, a box of shells, they don't give them away.
No.
And rightfully so, right? Like, I see the value in it. Like, and if they cost more, I would probably buy it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's the juice is worth the squeeze.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know.
For sure.
But yeah, like I said, I really like it. And yeah, like I said, I had bought a bunch of Apex a while back, and then I was kind of running low. And then I got on the website and was on the notification when they came back at stock. And as soon as I got the notification, I bought it.
Yeah.
So I had some more, but
yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. But with those little 410s, you can't, if you do shoot a turkey and you want to try to do the whole thing where you put the beard inside the shell,
it
ain't happening.
It ain't gonna work.
If it's a Jake beard, maybe, but you're not going to be able to stuff that in that 410 shell is just so small.
It's tiny.
There is nothing to it.
Yeah. And I think that's what kind of blew my mind, is like thinking about all the turkeys I've seen Jet shoot with it.
Yeah.
And then holding that shell, it's like, man, that thing just really packs a dang punch.
It packs a punch.
Yeah.
And like you said, for a couple $100, I mean, like I said, we have no correlation with Rossi or anything, but it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, and they make that exact same gun in 20 gauge, single shot 20 gauge. It's literally, it looks exactly the same. It's just a 20 gauge.
There you go.
So
I would really be interested to shoot that 410 next to a 20 with the same shot.
Yeah.
And see number of BBs. And then also when you start to go farther, what it does and how that pattern.
For sure. That would be a really fun little test.
Yeah. Be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be really fun.
Yes.
It would be an expensive test, not from the gun's perspective, but just from from the shell perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, I'm glad you got after it. Like I said, I wish you could have got one.
Yeah.
But like I said, you live and learn. And I think, like I said, the lesson is, and it sounds like you did a little bit of this, but when it gets late like this, sometimes the thing is to just it is to be super aggressive, like you were talking about and like we talked about. But then sometimes you just realize that you got to just kind of slow it down.
Yeah, definitely.
No
doubt. No doubt.
So anyway,
yep,
that's good. All right, what's next?
Well, I think we wanted to get into kind of what we're seeing on cameras deer wise, some plans that we have, just overall summer camera strategy, getting some stuff moved around, and then kind of our plans to hone in on a well-known buck on this podcast, World Traveler.
So I'm just going to say it right off the bat. It's official. Bucks are starting to grow their antlers.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. When you showed me that first picture, it made me think of the movie Anchorman when Will Ferrell blows into the seashell and he's like, and it's like, news team, assemble.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, hey, horns are growing, baby.
Yeah.
Time to get ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the siren going off that said, woo, woo, time to get after it.
Yep, exactly.
Horns are growing. Bucks are starting to show up. And then guess what we've seen now here lately? Out and about. Just saw them last night. Had to do a quick U-turn, double turn around into a little farm driveway back out and onto the road again.
Nice bachelor group.
Yeah, bachelor group right out by the highway.
Yep.
Just gawking.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely time to fully switch gears, I think.
Hey, listen. Yeah, I was going to say something silly, but
you know what to say. You don't kill them in October, you kill them in May.
Hey, you know what they say. 200 inch doesn't grow those horns in August. He grows them in May.
Yeah. So
200 inches, grow 200 inches before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah, so we had a nice buck show up. I mean, I think for this time of year, he's looking really, really good, I'd say.
All jokes aside, seriously, big bucks put it on in May and June. They don't put it on in July and August.
Exactly.
You see him in August, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's he going to be? He's already what he's going to be.
Yeah.
They're already almost hardened up by then.
Mm-hmm.
It's May and June when you're like, oh, baby, look at that.
Yeah.
That's when you should be freaking out.
Yeah, he had real good mass, kind of started beams a little bit, good brows.
Yeah, he's already past his brows.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would love we only got one picture of him, which kind of sucks, but
well, we only have.
Yeah,
I think what we've learned about now is, first off, we were kind of just letting all the turkey cameras just run dry and let the batteries go dead.
Yeah.
But now we need to get things moved around and start thinking about where we want to put everything for deer season.
Yeah.
We also need to start thinking about where we're going to put out some mineral.
Yeah, exactly.
To just try to see if we can hone them in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So he's probably still running around. He's probably ran by 6 other cameras and they're just all dead.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's the other funny thing too about World Traveler is he's got a notch in his ear, doesn't he?
It's the tuft on his back.
Oh yeah, the tuft on his back.
Yep.
There's another buck that has a notch in his ear. Was that Doc had a notch in his ear?
No, I think that was there was one buck last summer that we kept getting that had a notch in his ear.
Yeah.
And we kept saying, "Oh man, this would be fun to watch him," but I don't know if he stuck around. I don't remember throughout the fall seeing him.
But you're right. Yeah, Doc has this tough of hair on his back.
World Traveler
has this tuft of hair on his back. That's very obvious.
Yeah.
And we saw him last spring with it. And then, of course, there he was all summer. And in the year before, he had that tuft on his back, too.
Same exact thing.
So, yeah, I just wonder what that's from.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to find out.
I hope so.
We're going to find out. We will examine it when he's laying on the ground, high-fiving.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still searching for that tuft of hair yet.
You have been. It was so funny. There was a couple times more than a couple times when a bunch of deer walked by during turkey season and you could see Nick just zooming in on the photos, trying to look and trying to find. You're like, we got to find him.
Oh man, it'd just be so awesome just to see him. I just hope to God he's alive.
So that leads us into our new segment. The new segment is the Buckometer segment, which is just where we're at with the bucks.
Yeah.
The Buckometer segment The buckometer is telling us right now that antlers are growing.
Yeah.
Buckometer segment is saying that antlers are main beamed past their brows.
Yeah. So I'd say right now.
I haven't seen a buck with a G2 yet, but we've seen beamed past the brows.
Yeah. So the buckometer runs on a 0 to 10 scale.
Yeah, we should be more specific. Listen, there's one thing about Nick. Nick really enjoys rules
Yes.
based around some sort of competition or just some arbitrary thing that we make up. So this is right up his alley.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You're the buckometer commissioner.
Yep. So
You've officially been bestowed the buckometer commissioner.
Appreciate it.
So you've been knighted.
Yep.
With the Propel water bottle. So go ahead and tell us the rules.
Yeah. So how the buckometer is going to work is it's going to run from a 0 to 10 scale.
Okay. You're going to create a graphic.
Yep. I'm going to create a graphic of where we're at.
Yep.
And then one thing to be noted too, decimals are encouraged.
Oh. So this is kind of like a Dave Portnoy one bite.
Yes.
Kind of deal.
Exactly. Yes. And then this is going to be from a week to week standpoint.
Yes. And the score from the week before has no weight on what the score could be the next week.
Just week to week.
Yep. It's also based solely on our opinions of the buckometer.
Yep.
Buckometer could go up and down. The buckometer could be going up, but for us, it could be going down.
Yep.
So there's no weight for what the score was the week before or what it may be the next week. It's just week to week.
Yeah. So I think we got that picture actually exactly a week ago today.
Yep.
So here's what I'm going to say. I think we're rocking at probably like a 6.8 right now, just for sheer excitement.
Man,
but
I think that's a score based around more excitement.
Yeah, just because it's the first one. But
see, I was going to go more like a 5.2 is what I was going to say.
Yeah, maybe 6.8's a little bit high, but I was just so excited to see that first one, and
you were like, yes, buck on camera, let's go, and I was like, huh, look at that, he's past his brows.
He's good looking deer. I mean, geez, he's got good mass around the bases.
He's got good mass.
He could turn into something probably.
Looks like he's going to be a little whiter.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And but that's really the only. I mean, there's. On the other spots that we have, there's bucks showing up, but nothing near that growth, I don't think.
No, and we've had a couple of other bucks on camera that are just look way thinner.
Yeah, way thinner.
Yeah, way thinner. They look like young deer, and and that deer looks older.
Yeah,
he's got a big old schnoggin.
Really nice body. That was I showed it to Benny, and that was the first thing he said. He goes, I think that's probably going to be a pretty good one because he's got a big body.
Yeah. So the other thing that the other rule I must slip in there is I think that the buckometer score should be an average between what you want the score to be and what I want the score to be.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. So you better get your phone out quick. 6.8 plus 5.2 divided by 2.
I don't have my phone on me.
Okay, 1 sec. Let me do a calculation here. Let me see what we got. So that's a cumulative score of 6.
That's pretty good.
So and that was right on 6.0.
Yeah.
6.0. I did the decimal.
Yeah.
We're only going one back on the decimal. But whoa. that was like a hiccup and a breath at the same time. Sorry.
Yes.
Score of 6. Buckometer for this week, score of 6.
Yep. Score 6. 6 out of 10. Might be a little bit high, but like I said, for the first one, there's a lot of excitement that influences the score. So
yeah, I have a feeling that next week's score is going to go way down.
Yeah, unless we find some time to move some cameras around. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's early. But yeah, I think we have a pretty good plan for summer, moving cameras around. Obviously, the number one goal is trying to kind of corner World Traveler if he's alive. I think there's a couple spots where he was very consistent last year.
Very consistent.
Crop rotation is different this year, but
I don't think that's going to make a difference.
I don't think it's going to either.
Especially in the thermal hub and especially at the ski hill.
Yeah, I don't think
it's
so
going to
either.
make a difference.
And years past, I am always just a nut about getting cameras out really early just because I really enjoy watching them grow and I just like having cameras out. But a lot of times in the summer in Wisconsin, I had them on cornfields, and I would almost say it was sometimes kind of better having them tucked up against a cornfield, because I just think that they feel so secluded and kind of safe.
Yeah, and like I said, the nice thing about I feel like when it's a bean field, I feel like last year we had on the Skio was a bean field up against it, and we had World Traveler a lot at night.
Middle of the night.
Yeah, middle of the night. He didn't want to be out on that during the day. But I feel like what I've noticed too is when it's a cornfield, you'll see them. You can see them all throughout the day.
Oh yeah.
They feel safer just field with a.
It's just like
a strip of woods there that they can just kind of sneak through there, and once that corn is up, it's so bad thing is just wind trips, man, are just terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the thermal hub, none of that makes a difference. That just seems like where they're just in there, and there's water in there, and they can smell everything from every direction humanly possible.
Yeah, I think that a good comparison for this, or a good kind of example of this, is at our other permission spot. There's a really, really good spot for mineral site that's tucked into the woods, and there was deer there from sunup to sundown.
Yes.
And then later on in the night, those bean fields started to light up a little bit. Yep. But I just think that in the summertime,
when they can be in the woods,
something
and
secluded,
it can be something where they're out of sight, out of mind. They'll be there.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Last year, I felt like, and it's like this a lot of times. Spot that you're mentioning was dominated by does. Man, there were does in there.
Does, fawns.
Golly.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. And we had bucks in there too. But it's just really going to be interesting to see what is moving around in there, because what we had 2 years ago didn't really play out last year.
No.
Again, we don't have permission for every single spot around. No. There's obviously other people deer hunting around. So we had a buck called Highbrow that we were really, really super stoked about last year that never showed up. There was a buck that, Doc was the one that kind of came. He was an up-and-comer that kind of, he definitely put on some from whatever he was the year before. I don't really think we even had him the year before.
No.
I don't think he he got wide and tall, and then there was an older buck that we didn't really have on camera during the summer, but then he showed up in the fall. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what that's like this summer.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden we get real lucky and a deer comes back, or if it's just more different deer.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to go. We're gonna put a camera on the south side of the road there too.
Yeah.
Again, there was some. We were in there during turkey season. Again, we were turkey hunting / just doing a little quick scouting sesh.
Yeah.
And, man, there were some rubs that were unbelievably high on a handful of trees in there that you're like, golly, look at this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try that too.
Yeah.
And there is a primo spot for a stand in there.
Yeah.
Like right when I saw it, I was like, that's it.
Yeah, it's a perfect tree.
Oh man. And it's perfect for, like I said, we get a lot of northwest winds here. It's good to sneak in on that. Now that is going to be corn, which I think is going to make that even better, because it's going to be hard to get in there early.
Yeah.
But then as soon as that corn comes out, that spot, and then that's going to be the rut, and it's going to get good.
Yeah, I just think
there's just bedding right through there, but you're not in the bedding. You're right on the edge of the bedding. And you're right on the edge of the field, and it's like everything's right there. There's like a little seep down through there.
Yep.
I mean, it's a mud path deer trail through there.
Yeah, there's mud paths everywhere. There's a bunch of
cedars. Bunch of teeters in there.
There's a bunch of cedars tucked up in there. It just looks like it could be a really, really good spot, and it feels like there's a lot of deer working through there.
So that's the other kind of summer. We've got a couple summer things that we've got to get moving on. We need to get moving on. We got to get moving on getting some cameras moved. First off, just because we do. Second off, because the corn's still short. We're not driving in any fields now, which is okay.
No.
But, the nice thing is I know a guy that's got an e-bike that can just haul down a row.
That'd be perfect.
And not mess up anybody's corn.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yep.
So that's nice. We need to get some cameras moved around, and then we need to get some mineral out. We were just at Fleet Farm the trophy rock was half empty already. Oh. So there's other guys doing the same thing we're doing.
Yep.
Thinking the same thing. So when we need to get some cameras moved, we need to start doing some little inventory checking here.
Yeah.
We need to we need to see what the buckometer is going to do here.
Yeah.
then we need to get that stand in there.
Yeah.
Especially because, like you said, that's a cornfield that is going to be unapproachable here shortly.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, they always say knee high by the 4th of July. Last couple of years, last however many years, it's knee high by the 4th of June.
Yeah, exactly.
This year may be a little different because it was like there was guys that got in early and then there was that rain. Then they got in late around here or later, which still wasn't like incredibly late.
Yeah.
And as much rain as we've gotten and as warm as it's been, soil's warm, everything's just popping.
Yep.
So we need to get some stuff done here in the next few weeks. We can't wait around.
No.
And so it'll be good. And then I think really everything else is, well, the other spot that we've talked about last year is on the one permission piece is stand in the woods.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we talked about? We talked about moving stand in the woods a little to the north. And then we also talked about going down and going southeast of the co-op.
Yep.
On that corner.
Yeah.
That trail that we were seeing them through there all the time.
Yep.
I feel like we need to get down in there.
I know.
And I think if we go down in there, then the middle stand, I think you go kind of where you were in your saddle that day.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more like around that. Go. Sorry. I'm hitting his mic. Go more. There's like that ridge right there. We need to see go down a little bit off that ridge.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a little around the corner. Yeah. I'm so nervous about that though too, because God, I just feel like we're going to move it and then they're going to be right where we want them to be.
I know it's a tricky thing,
but
especially in that spot.
Tree is like, it's just not a great tree.
It's a really weird. It's a great spot.
Yeah.
I think, but it's a very weird tree.
Yes.
And if they come from the west, they kind of get up on you. It feels like.
Yes.
Like
they get up on you right now.
Yeah. So.
Whereas if we sit down, we might be able to see them a little farther coming, and then be able to. But then they get right to you, and then they get away from you fast.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I think we need to just try it and move it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that will be way more conducive to a double.
Yeah.
Because the middle stand is a spot that you always have a meltdown. That tree stand will make you punch a tree. Literally, I watched him punch a tree.
Yeah.
Not like a little jab. I'm talking a full on Mike Tyson overhand right against the tree, and you didn't hear the tree, you heard his fist. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You were mad that day.
Yeah, well, that tree just, I'm telling you, that tree is my arch nemesis. It's once you get up into it with the double, it just leans really weird.
Well, here's what it does. It leans back, and where you have to be, it leans back, and it leans like out.
Yeah.
And we're on a hill, so you're
kind of on a creek too.
You're like 18, 20 feet on the close side, and then you're like 30 feet on the other side. You look off the back and you're like, whoa, don't look that way.
Yeah.
The co-op's like that too. Co-op's terrible.
Co-op's worse.
Oh my gosh.
But I love that spot.
Even the co-op, dude, you know what's funny about that? I was with a buddy the other day that we were just talking about before this that was helping me out. And we were talking about deer hunting, and he goes, you remember when you helped me set that stand down at this one place? And I completely forgot about that. I was like, yeah, I guess now that you say that. He goes, yeah, you remember you said it like 25 feet high. And I said, oh man, you need to talk to Nick. He'd love to hear that.
God. Yeah, that co-op.
Hey man, you gotta set them high, man.
That co-op is a really sweet spot, and it's perfect when you're looking north, but when you look south,
it's perfect when you're looking west.
Yeah, but when you look
south and you look east, you better be ready.
You are looking straight down a deep coulee.
You need to make sure you got a harness on.
Yeah, but that's where I shot my does, though.
That's right.
So that spot is special to me.
Hey, that's the Nick double.
Yeah.
No, but okay, so yeah, I think we got a good plan, and we got some stuff to do. Mm-hmm. I think we need to try to work to get that stuff done by mid-June.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be great to get it done sooner than later.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Fun time of year.
Yeah, it is exactly, and in all seriousness, like we were joking about earlier, big bucks put it on, and not even big bucks, just mature deer that you're looking to try to put on the hit list. They put it on in May and June.
Yeah,
you follow me?
Yeah.
That's when they really put it on. Mm-hmm. You know, you get into July, it's not that they don't still grow in July. They grow in July too, but they're more of the way there.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense?
Yep, no doubt.
And so this is the time of year, if you see deer that you're like, whoa, look at that, May and June, that's a good sign.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. All right, so the unrelated thing that I made it sound awkward that Nick and I did together that was really fun has nothing to do with hunting, but it's a little bit to do with the outdoors. Mm-hmm. We went and did a little golfing.
Yep. Went and did a little golfing.
And you know what? That was really, really fun.
Yeah,
I forgot how much fun golfing can be.
Yeah, it was.
I got a lot of hunting buddies. When I used to guide in Colorado, we hit golf balls all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We had this bunkhouse and there's a big field out in front of us. And one day we found these golf clubs randomly and there was some golf balls. And before you know it, we were making trips to Walmart and buying a bag of golf balls and hitting golf balls all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I like golfing.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Here's what I learned. Nick's a pretty good golfer. He kind of is a definition sandbag golfer. He kind of is just like, oh yeah, I mean, I hit it okay. I don't know. And then he gets up there, and his club is a 3-wood. And you want to talk about they can stripe it. I'm talking striping it. And he looks all official too. Right before, I don't know if you know this, but right before you swing, you kind of do this like forward lean with your club before you swing. You take a little of the loft off of it. You know what I mean? You just angle the wrist a little bit. But no, you're a good ball striker. You hit the ball really pure. Hit it right in the middle. That's the key.
Thanks.
But yeah, he's definitely a better golfer than me.
I don't know.
But it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good to kind of knock the rust off. I played one time last week and then this week one time. And that was first 2 rounds I've played in a whole year. So
yep. And this was my first round with Cole too. In a year.
Yeah. And I think we both did really good for.
Well, here's I think the most important thing about golfing, which is funny. We've talked about golf before, and I think there's a lot of similarity with golf and hunting.
Yeah.
Golf is all about mindset.
Oh yeah.
And I think the sooner you figure out that golf is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Guys on TV, it's hard for them.
Oh yeah.
It's hard for everybody.
Yep.
Hunting is really, really hard.
Yes.
You know, the sooner you figure that out, and the sooner you figure out that none of us are pros at this, right? Mm-hmm. Just like we talked about last week about this accuracy versus precision and this whole thing. The reality is none of us are, well, maybe some of us are Navy SEAL snipers, but most of us aren't.
Yeah.
Right? Most of us haven't swung a golf club and hit 10,000 balls. We just go out and want to have some fun.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I think we all, especially in this conversation, we take hunting way more seriously than golfing.
No doubt.
But still, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Hunting's hard too, and it can be hard at times. Mm-hmm. The reality is you can do everything right, and then you just make a bad shot.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't mean to.
Yeah.
Like every time we got up on that tee box yesterday, I was bound and determined to hit it right down the middle.
Oh yeah.
And you swing, and you're like, how did I do that? You know what I mean? Like, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, and you know, you're 100 yards out, you're 80 yards out, 50 yards out. You're like, okay, make a good shot. Just hit it right up there. Mm-hmm. And you just duff it. You know what I mean? You're like, golly.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just how it goes.
Exactly.
It's just all about attitude.
Yep.
And that's what I think was kind of the funnest part about last night is we just tried to have a really good time. Yeah. Just fun. Who cares?
I think that's like you said, I think there's just so many. It's weird to think that there's so many things that relate to hunting, and I think the attitude is the biggest thing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I get up into a tree stand and the hunt doesn't go as good as I wanted to, and I just get so down. I get angry. I punch a tree, and it's like, and then you get in the truck and you're like, why?
Yes.
Why? Why were you upset? I mean, you just spent a morning hunting. Like, no matter how you do it, how the hunt goes, it's still awesome to be out there. And it's the same thing with golf. Who cares if you make a bad shot? You're still outside. You're having fun. That's the one thing about golf is, golf is one of the sports that's like way more in tune with nature, I guess you could say.
Yes.
You're in the woods. You're
walking on the grass.
Beautiful out, you know.
In the trees. We're in the trees a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, 100%.
So it's just...
You're hearing the birds chirping, you're out there.
Yeah, back when I used to play golf a lot more, when I worked at the golf course, I would get kind of upset. But then once I stopped playing, I would still get upset. And I had that same kind of thought, like, why? Like, who cares? I'm not a pro. It's not playing for millions of dollars. We're just out to have fun.
Yeah, and you really just have to kind of think about the next shot.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you go out hunting and you have a rough day, like just think about the next hunt.
Yeah,
think about the next time.
Yep.
You know, and you make a bad shot or you miss or whatever things happen, like you mess up an opportunity, the deer sees you, spots you, you move, whatever, like let's just go on to the next one. Move on. Yeah. Yep. No, I mean it's no, there's a lot of correlation there. But the one thing you can say that you can always ask yourself whenever you're thinking about hobbies, you compare one versus the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. You ask yourself, when I'm hunting, am I thinking about golfing? No. But when I'm golfing, am I thinking about hunting?
Yes.
Yes. That's how you could quickly figure out your favorite hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Oh. Yep. That was told to me as a joke that I can't tell the rest of it.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
But if you're trying to figure out what to spend money on and what hobby you really enjoy doing, that's a good question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Because seriously, like we were talking about hunting while we were golfing last night.
Yeah, no
but we're not sitting out there going
checking cameras.
Yeah, we're not sitting out there sitting in the tree stand thinking, when are we going to get in the next round of golf in?
Yeah.
You know, I've realized that I really enjoy dirt track racing.
Yeah.
Because it can be the middle of the day and I'm thinking about dirt track racing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can tell you that I really enjoy Alaska because when I compare this to this, I'm thinking about Alaska a lot. I'm talking about Alaska a lot, but I'm not talking about it the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, so that sounds kind of silly, but there's a lot of truth in that.
A good example of that is since I moved down to Iowa, all my buddies are still in Wisconsin. Every year we do a little thing called the Iowa Invitational.
Coming right up. Hey, big event.
Big event. It's growing too. It's about to be a regional tournament. Give it some time.
You're the commissioner, right?
Yes, I'm the commissioner.
Voted in, right? If I understand it right?
No, self-named.
Self-appointed?
Yeah, self-appointed.
I mean, that's even more important.
But I learned from last year, because last year I had it on the last weekend of Iowa turkey season.
Bad idea.
And we had a really good time playing golf. Get back. We always get an Airbnb because my apartment was not big enough to hold.
You're having like 27 people there.
Yeah.
16 people?
16, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we always get an Airbnb just right in Clear Lake. So we play golf, had a great time, get back, and my phone is just lighting up with I remember there was like 3 toms right in front of the camera, all strutting, all gobbling. I'm like, and it just was making me so mad.
Oh, yeah.
And like, that's just a good example where I'm like, oh, this was a bad decision. So hence why this year we pushed it back to
after Memorial Day.
Yeah, to not overlap with any seasons in.
I'll tell you what, that's another way that you can tell if hunting's important to you by how you feel when you get invited to weddings.
Yeah.
How you feel when you find out somebody's having a baby. Hey, I got a wedding invitation for the first week in November. Nice try.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, they're getting married 3rd week in April. Nope.
Yeah.
You and I both said that. You're like, what are they thinking?
I know. It's like,
do they not know that, like
do these people like not take account of like what seasons are in, hot times of the year?
I am not going to lie. There was discussions about, hey, when should we start trying to have kids based around not having them during hunting seasons.
Yeah.
And some of that worked out, some of it didn't, because Finn was born, Rush was born in April, Finn was born in May, Rush was born in October.
Yeah.
But Bo was born in December, first part of December. That's first shotgun season, so we're golden.
Yeah, exactly.
You could tell how interested you are and how passionate you're about hunting. If you get wedding invitations, you're like, really?
Yeah.
October 20th?
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Making me have to make a hard choice.
Yeah.
You've had to make some hard choices.
I know. I just had to make one. I had to let my buddy know I can't make it to his wedding because it's on November 1st.
Hey, man.
But I'll be out of town doing something else.
It's more than just you going, I don't care. It's the most special day in your life. I want to go deer hunting. You actually are having to probably video filming.
Yeah, I'll be out of state.
Yeah.
That day.
You'll be on location.
Yeah. Yeah.
But seriously, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten things about
when
you got to go somewhere and you're just like, Really?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's it's a real gut punch. Not only when you get an invitation, and it's during hunting season, but the invitation is from a hunter.
Yeah.
You're like, bro,
What are
like
you
who's wearing the
doing,
pants
man?
in this relationship? Yeah. You can't tell me that you didn't have this conversation. Like you couldn't pull your weight a little bit and say, hey, guess what, hon? Not happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to have all my hunting bros mad at me. Can't do it.
Yeah.
But they did it anyway.
Funny story about that. One of my best friends, great dude, awesome guy. He'll be down for the Iowa Invitational. He got married first part in October, and I was giving him some crap because he always said, "Oh, I'm never getting married in the fall." Yada yada yada.
Why would you get married in hunting season? What a terrible idea.
And so he gets married in the fall, and his brother was his best man, was giving his speech, and he brought that up. He's like, yeah, this girl must be pretty special to him because he's getting married in October. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of truth in that.
And there is a lot of truth in that, right? Because, and again, we've all been invited to weddings in the fall, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, it's not that big of a deal to miss one day.
It's really not the end of the world.
And the last time I checked, most weddings are in like the afternoon, so you could still sneak out in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Don't tie one on at the reception. You can get out the next morning.
Yeah.
I don't drink anyway, so the next morning's golden for me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and honestly, I can't blame them. October is probably the most beautiful time of year to probably get married, regardless.
Exactly. Beautiful color, and everything else.
Yep.
So we're sorry if we're really ragging on it.
Yeah,
but
we're really
it's just,
not.
It's funny like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, hey, I am excited for you for the Iowa Invitation.
Yep, it'll be fun. Get the boys down here.
I think your game is you're really on the cusp. Your approach shots were looking good. Your short game was looking good. You were putting good. You're striping it.
Team catch-up coming for you.
I'm telling you, man. I think. Listen, if your shoulder holds up, your bod holds up. That's all you got to worry about.
That's the big thing.
You just got to keep swinging nice and easy. That's what you need. Don't try to crank one. If you get the wind at your back, just take it nice and easy. Just keep hitting her down the middle.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I think you got a real shot.
I do too. I like where our team's at.
Yep. Nope. I think so too. I think it's gonna be big.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, man. Like you said, talked about some turkey hunting. We're talking about the buckometer, seeing where that's gonna start, where that's gonna go.
Yep.
Bucks are starting to grow. It will be here before you know it.
Oh my gosh,
golly,
it's gonna be here so fast. Just to think that it's already June.
Oh, dude, I know. That's like I don't know where I was. Well, it was yesterday. I said we're at Casey's, and I said to the guy, I said, when did it become past Memorial Day? And she's like, yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just like, where did it go? It's just wild how it just flies. Just flies.
Yep.
And again, I mean, it'll be not that long, and all of a sudden, the fields will be turning and the leaves will be changing, and we'll be back at it.
Ooh, I can't wait, man.
Yep.
God, I can't wait.
I know. I can't either. I'm excited. I feel like there's a level of mystery over what this year is going to bring.
I know. I was going to say
You know
that
what I'm
earlier.
saying?
I feel like this year is the most excited I've been going into it.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of like anticipation, but not even knowing what we're going to get.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and I think
I felt like last year we're like, okay, we're going to put cameras out here. Feel like this is what we're going to be looking at.
Yep.
I don't know why I felt like it was like, World Traveler, like, we'll get him on camera and boom, there he was. Like, okay, yep, here we go. It felt like we're going to get this guy.
Yeah.
But this year, it just feels more mysterious.
Well, and I think for me, the reason I'm more excited is
there's excitement.
Yes, a lot of excitement.
Anticipation.
I think I'm most excited because
Excitement.
Anticipation.
Because the first
We're so excited.
yes.
So excited.
Because the first year here, clueless. I didn't even know where I was gonna hunt. Like I didn't know. So then
You needed to eat a lot of Snickers because you were hangry so much.
Going into it, I was just like,
what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I don't know what to do with my hands.
And
you were
then-
just like Ricky Bobby in it the whole time.
Then last year I had a little bit better idea, understood we were hunting a little bit better, and now I'm just excited just to get another year under the belt and hopefully wrap a tag around some bone, baby.
You know me, Mr. Analogy. What I just thought about was the first year, it was like you were trying to like learn how to ride a dirt bike and you didn't really know what to do and you fell over a lot. Yep. Then last year, you kind of like, okay, I'm riding the dirt bike. You went over a couple jumps. You're like, hey, okay, like I get this. Now this year, you're like, you look at the motocross track and you're like, and you're like, hey, guess what? Time to win the race, baby.
Which is just funny because it's just like
I can just tell you're just like you're ready to grip it and rip it, man.
Like when I was hunting at home for all those years in Wisconsin, it felt like this now, kind of like I knew what I needed to do. I knew what deer were in the area, knew how I'm going to approach the season, and going into it, it was just a lot more just calculated. It felt like, and that's kind of what it's starting to feel like now, which is awesome. It's a great feeling. I'm so excited.
It's a great feeling for me too.
Well, you've been.
No, I'm
pretty sure you've been calculated at these spots for quite a while.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's just nice because that, I feel like what I'm saying is I feel like I was watching you crash a little bit. And I was like, come on, let's go.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, and I can realize that from the outside looking in because like I'm so excited, and you're just like, oh, yeah.
I don't mean to be like that.
Well, I think that's just my overall attitude towards hunting. I get way too revved up about it.
But the funny thing is that's where you and I, it's kind of the yin and the yang, because you get really revved up like in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm more like laser focused in the middle of it. I'm real like, I don't know. It's like, it's almost like during the pregame and during the game, you're like really going crazy. Yeah. Where I'm just like, let's win.
Yeah.
As soon as we win, I come unglued. I mean, you better watch out because I'm going to start screaming and yelling, and I go butt crazy, and you get more like subdued.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Do.
It's wild how we're like complete opposite. Like you get really excited throughout, where I'm just more like, more level, I guess, about it. But then as soon as we win, holy cow, I can't hold it together. That's when I just really, really go crazy.
Yeah, I definitely really love the planning, the cameras, all that stuff. I really enjoy that, and it kind of comes out a lot.
Yeah. But, like this spring when we were setting cameras and you saw those toms, I was just like, oh, there they are. Heck yeah. Okay. Where are they? What are they doing? How can we take advantage of this? And you're over there like, yes. And just like freaking out.
Come on, man. Come on, baby. So sad. I love that.
Oh, it's so funny.
Well, even last night, I told you, I said, it might be time to start driving around.
Oh, no, dude. Listen, it's 100% time to start driving around. We're driving down the highway randomly. That was still an hour before dark. And they were out there. Yeah. They were out there just standing there like, oh, hey, here I am. Just bachelor'd up, just walking down a fence line, standing by the highway, trying to get hit by a car. Yep. Like just standing there, gawking out. Yep. I know 100%. I mean, I think you get into, 2 or 3 weeks from now, you better be driving around.
Oh, yeah. I probably would be this week, but I just got a lot on my mind with this tournament coming up.
Listen.
It's just commissioner and stuff. But
I'm telling you got to stay loose. You stay ready.
Yep.
Listen, dude, I'm expecting a trophy to be sitting here on next week's pod. If there's not, huge disappointment.
Yeah, that trophy ain't leaving Iowa this year.
Listen, to quote Ricky Bobby for the second time in the podcast, if you're not first, you're last.
Yep.
Just saying it that way. Okay.
Yep.
I think that's a good way to end it.
Yep, I agree.
Another podcast of the books, Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. Over and out. I'm Cole Tanner.
I'm Nick Simon.
Thanks for listening. Hey, get out there. Enjoy not only just hunting, enjoy the outdoors. Whether that's hunting, golfing, a little dirt track racing.
Get outside.
A little barbecuing maybe. A little flipping some burgers, eating a T-bone, eating a ribeye.
Shoot your bow, get dialed in.
Do a little practicing.
Yep.
Stay classy.
See you next week.
Stay classy.